Welcome to Extra Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. I'm looking forward to this discussion. Jay-Z, the rapper, the mogul, in a lot of hot water, in a lot of controversy. He's caught up in the Club Diddy scandal, accused of participating in the rape of a 13-year-old, I believe in 2000 or many years ago, but there's a civil lawsuit going on, and Jay-Z issued a statement rebuking these allegations and talked about his honor and he's different and how the lawyer, Tony Busby, who's representing the alleged victim, doesn't understand who Jay-Z is and just how honorable Jay-Z is and how he spent his whole life protecting children while he was drug dealing and making satanic music. It was all about protecting children, and there's no way Jay-Z would be involved in this. And so who better to discuss this with on this show than Larry Johnson, the former NFL star running back, Penn State star, Kansas City Chief, Pro Bowler, All-Pro running back. Now, just one of the most fascinating people on social media. For those of us that like to dabble in conspiracy theories, Larry is fascinating. I hate to even call it conspiracy theories, but Larry's just fascinating because Larry will talk about whatever is interesting and whatever the conversations you're not supposed to have. Those are the conversations that Larry promotes. And Larry used to wear Rocawear, used to be associated with Jay-Z and Rock Nation. Larry Johnson, welcome back to the show. Larry, I'll just start with a very, very simple question. Should we take seriously these allegations against Jay-Z?
I think we should take serious any allegation that's involving the abuse of children and teenagers. And since we kind of know what this industry is, we need to look a little bit deeper. Now, they roll this carpet out in front of us because they want us to know. But of course, they're all going to do their due diligence with the PR and say, well, I'm honorable, I'm this, I'm that. But you've seen the symbolism. You've seen him wear do what thou wilt across his sweatshirt. We know that comes from Aleister Crowley. We know Aleister Crowley wrote a book called Sex Magic, which he promotes drugging and abusing children for the sake of some type of occult magic or energy that they formulate or they desire to make themselves younger. And then to carry that.
Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second, Larry. Aleister Crowley wrote a book that promoted the drugging of, what's the name of the book again?
It's called Sex Magic, and it's magic with a K on the end of it, because he wanted to differentiate from real magic to his type of magic.
All right, continue. I'm sorry. I did not know that.
Yeah. So the music industry adopts this doctrine, well, the do what thou wilt, the law of Thelema. So you would have to think that bringing a 13-year-old child into an after party of the MTV Awards, which is even strange enough because where is this young lady's parents? But we know that parents love to try to make their kids stars if they have the opportunity. So they'll let them go with certain celebrities. And so this has been pretty much the norm within these societies, is to abuse and get after the children and to use and combine drug use with that. And we've seen it with Bill Cosby. We've seen it with other celebrities who are close-knit into that small circle.
Well, I think one person we've seen who's directly connected to Jay-Z is R. Kelly. They had an album, The Best of Both Worlds. To me, they were both established intentionally. R. Kelly at the top of the R&B industry and Jay-Z at the top of the hip hop industry. You know, I don't think you get those positions by accident. I don't think it's based on talent alone.
I'd never think it's based on just talent. And of course, you know, he makes a lot of good music that made us tap our feet. And when 3 a.m. hits with the woman that we loved, it was the seal the deal type of music. But with that, of course, being that close together, being behind the scenes and seeing how these people really feed off of each other, they're not separate. He came out with a quote said that you can't judge us like you judging every rapper. But sir, you're close. You have albums with these people. You have after parties with these people. You have celebrity functions where you go on trips and vacations with these people. So to say that you know nothing, even if you weren't a part of it, you have to know a little bit of something. But since they take a vow of secrecy, we're not going to be able to even scratch the surface of even if they put them on the witness stand, because they all taken an oath.
Well, there are rumors that like Diddy is inside his prison cell, and every time he gets out, he snitches on someone new trying to get out from underneath. Do you think someone like Diddy could, instead of, Jeffrey Epstein being killed or committing suicide, do you think Diddy is perhaps a source of information and maybe is snitching on people?
I think Diddy is the poor man's Ghislaine Maxwell. I think he's not going to snitch on anyone. I think he may allude to it, may be subliminal to it. But like I said before, these people take oaths, and this is being put in front of our faces just to mirror the Jeffrey Epstein, scandal and foolishness. And nothing came out of that. No one snitched. We know the flight logs. We know the people who have gone. None of those people have ever been brought into the courtroom to say, hey, I knew him or I didn't know him. And this went on, this didn't go on. It just kind of went away. So especially with, Negro America, they know we have a susceptibility to gossip and hip hop. So they use this as a distraction, knowing that nothing is going to come of it. It's just going to be running on and on and on. And then we get to the final show, and then they're going to say, oh, these people changed their stories, or there was always a loophole. I mean, look at the Jussie Smollett situation. We know he lied about this being jumped. We know he lied about the persons that he was with. They lied. So to have the court turn over and say, no, you're good, you're free. You spent enough time doing this lie. I mean, come on. You have to assume it was going to go down the same exact way with Sean Combs.
So you think eventually nothing's going to happen to even Diddy or Sean Combs?
I mean, he may sit down for a little bit, but we don't know what happened to R. Kelly. Have we seen update photos of him in jail? Have we heard any stories of any inmate that has seen R. Kelly? Have you heard anything that came out of the jail cell he's in? And now that brothers got cell phones in jails, you trying to tell me nobody has said they seen R. Kelly? I don't know, but they're all in the same group. This is what they sacrifice or ritualize themselves for. This is what they do. This is a sense of worship for them. Why would they get punished for the way they worship or encouraged to worship? Like, blackmailing is the number one thing to keep people in line. So why not continue to keep doing it? Why would I get punished to do it?
Larry, have you ever heard of the West Memphis Three?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so the West Memphis Three was an occult-like killing of a young child, and HBO did 3 documentaries on it. And all 3 documentaries ended up accusing someone different of doing the crime. The West Memphis Three went down for it. Damian Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miss Kelly. These are 3 teenage boys that murdered a really young child. And HBO created all of this reasonable doubt with these series of 3 different documentaries accusing someone else of doing it every time. And this is where I agree and slightly disagree with you. It's like, there is some type of an occult-like ritual, because I think the West Memphis Three did it. Yeah. And I think they had to go through, the Damian Echols in particular, had to sit in prison, and then he gets sprung years later, and he becomes this celebrity. And Johnny Depp and all these people are waiting on him when he gets out of prison. And I can remember I went down this rabbit hole, and they had me convinced they were innocent. And then by the time I got to the bottom of the rabbit hole, I was like, oh my God, these guys did it. And and so that's what I almost think about Diddy and maybe even Jay-Z. It's like, you're gonna have to go through this imprisonment, humiliation, and then 10 years from now, 15, no different than the Central Park 5. You ever go down that rabbit hole? Those guys actually did it. They snitched on themselves. They did it with their parents sitting right there. They didn't rape the woman because they couldn't penetrate her, but they did do all the other stuff. But You do the time, 10, 15, 20 years, then they give you these $1 million settlements. Maybe that's what we're looking at as it relates to Diddy and Jay-Z.
And maybe, but Damian Eccles isn't part of the Hollywood elite. The Central Park guys aren't part of the Hollywood elite. These people are controlled. There's more money to be made through the gossip and entertainment than it would be with the West Memphis Three or the Central Park boys. Like this was going on, Sean Combs. It's a moneymaker. Not only a moneymaker, but it's a good distraction if you want to drag this along into something else. Now we know what's coming up. We know the Super Bowl is coming up, where Jay-Z still has a hand in the halftime show performances, and we know that Kendrick Lamar is pretty much protest rap. So does this fall into this? See, we don't see the final ending. We only see, A and B right now. We don't know D, E, and F. We only see it from the beginning of it. So we really don't know what's going to happen. But we know that in the span of the next 4 or 5 months, it'll tell us what we need to know and how they're using Sean Combs to whatever money-making scheme they're making or distraction. We all know where it's going to come or go to based on how the NFL deals with Jay-Z and how the court system deals with Sean Combs.
Obviously, you'd be speculating. And do you think that these allegations against Jay-Z could interfere with his relationship with the NFL?
As somebody who has been in multiple hot seats with the NFL, with the domestic violence and issues and stuff, and how they treated me during that, I would think they would do something or say something or even have a statement. I would think so, because obviously, doing what you did or being accused of doing what you did to a 13-year-old child, a teenager, I mean, that's a little bit harsh. I mean, this is almost like domestic abuse. And it's the first time the NFL has ever heard, I don't think it's ever heard, but when it comes to somebody getting raped or sexually assaulted like that, the NFL doesn't play with that. We know it has happened across the league, all over the place, but we don't know. But it'll tell you exactly what to make of this situation if the NFL either comes down hard or they treat this very softly or just say, we'll wait to the end to see what happens.
So I've heard this argument as it relates to Kanye West. There's a naivety to these black installed celebrities that I've heard people make the argument that Kanye actually thought, hey, I'm a billionaire now. I get to call my own shots. I'm a boss. I don't have to obey my masters. And that's when he kind of spun off the rails and they did these things to like, nah, bro, you still got these puppet strings on. I don't care what your bank account says. I wonder if that naivety is what's impacting Jay-Z, that maybe he got full of himself, thought he was at the same table as the actual leaders, and maybe they're putting Jay-Z back in his place.
It could be. I mean, obviously, the statements that he came out with, I mean, he really puts himself on the pedestal, talking about honor, that he's not that guy, that he really cares about the children. And obviously, we've seen the music, we hear the music, we know the symbolism. So you have to be really high up on the pedestal with this godlike mentality, as if you cannot be touched. I mean, you will meet your fate like everybody else in this world will meet their fate, and you will meet it going down broke, just like we can't take money out of this world, so we all go to the grave broke. And to have this mentality of being godlike, yes, I think this is a humbling experience. I know it's a humiliation experience. And no matter what he says, the symbolism contradicts what he actually truly believes. But those who are not hip to the game are usually fooled by the players on the court.
So Jay-Z, is he different than what Russell Simmons used to represent in the hip hop world? And Russell Simmons has been run out of the country and out of influence in America. He's basically out in exile. Is Jay-Z on the same level, different level than Russell Simmons? Could the same fate perhaps await Jay-Z?
I think so, and I don't even think it has to do with particularly this case. If you look at the way hip hop is going, it's going right into the gutter. Like we went through people who actually had a message and said a message. Now it went to materialism. Then it went to dope boy culture. Then it went to dance culture. Now it's just gone into ignorance culture of just saying anything you want and not necessarily being on beat when you say it. And I think if Jay-Z came out with an album right now, who would buy it? Like, the kids aren't listening to a 60-year-old rap about yachts, being a billionaire, the woman that he has on his arm, jewelry. None of these kids are financially stable enough to even care about that type of music. They like the drill beat stuff. It's either make me dance, make me kill somebody, or make me shake my butt. That's it. And if Jay-Z just put out an album, I don't think anybody would buy it. I don't think anybody would pay attention to it. He's already on his way out. The only thing that's keeping him relevant is his woman and the fact that she's doing concerts. Like, if right now, if Jay-Z booked the concert, who would show up? I mean, would he make money? I mean, we don't know. We just speculating, but we could tell by the way music is going, it's already moving away from that generation.
So you think we could be at the end of hip hop as this major cultural influence?
I think so. You already seeing hip hop already infiltrating the country genre. You've seen they're already about to turn country into pop, and next is coming after pop is rap. So you're gonna get more country rap stars than you get hip hop stars. And this is no surprise. I mean, look what they did with the civil rights movement when they infiltrated the Dixiecrats. The people that really hated us and lynched us and hung us, we tried to infiltrate into that just to eat stale food from Woolworths. But this is what they do. They move us from one genre to the next for money, for prestige, and more control over the masses. That's pretty much it. But to go back to your question about comparing them to Russell, I would think they will almost be similarly the same. I mean, Russell likes young women. When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there. And he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there, and I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework. But she brought her mother with her, so it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking loud music and us dancing wild, like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyoncé. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me. So when I hear something like this happens, I can't really discount it and say, oh, he could never do this, because I'm hearing stories, I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and I've been in situations where something don't sound or look right, and it's usually involving children.
Larry, you've just blown my mind, and so I'm gonna have to ask you to. I just want to be clear on what I just heard. In 2006 or 7,
yeah,
you're in Colorado at a winter party with Jay-Z and the people with Rock Nation. And
it was the people who helped out with the photo shoot. It was a winter campaign that we shot. Mm-hmm.
And it's at some very nice mansion somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, up in the mountains somewhere.
And Beyoncé is sitting relatively close to you, and there's a child there. And,
Yes.
and this is after 11 o'clock at night. And she says, "Doesn't this look sexy?"
Mm-hmm.
Beyoncé, the singer.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Yes. Yes.
And the reason why I believe you, I'm not going to put a name to this. The reason why I believe you is like they get you out there and they float little test bubbles out there to see if you bite. It's like going fishing. Does the did I get a nibble? Did the bobber go down? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not going to name names, but it was a prominent sports media figure that I had a social gathering at my apartment in downtown LA, Apex building. Probably 20 people inside my apartment. And someone tried to engage me in a conversation about, can't you understand why older men find 14 and 15-year-old women attractive? And I was like, no, I really can't. And then they followed back up, and I was like, and then I just walked away, and I made a mental note like, hey, this person is on some different shit, quite frankly. And I was like, and I kept, and it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me. And you know, I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details. But it was just like a test, and I can remember like, yeah, I just failed that test. And so whatever they got going on out here in LA, and they trying to figure out if they can get me in some kind of conversation about whether I was attracted to 14 and 15-year-old women, I just failed that test. So I don't think you're lying or exaggerating. I think that is real out there in Hollywood. It's part of the reason why I left Los Angeles. And Larry, to me, it's like you've watched the Godfather 2 movies, mafia movies, and what the music industry in Hollywood is much like the mafia. It's like the Sopranos in terms of you can't become a made man until you've killed somebody in the mafia. You gotta make your bones. And it sounds to me in Hollywood and in the music industry, if you want to make it to the top, you must be involved in some sort of sexual deviancy before and they must know about it before they fully trust you. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree, because we all know how shameful it is to be messing around with a child, no matter what the age. And they know that the majority of the people in this country or in this world do not sit by and will not let anybody abuse children. So that's more of a shame thing they can control you with. Now, sacrificing somebody, that's personal. You know, not many people can add those or connect those dots of who did what and who did this, but it happens. But when it comes to sexual deviancy, as you said, it's more of we don't want the whole world to know what you've really been up to, so you have to do what we say do. And I think that's how they move. And like you said, I think it's like putting a worm on a hook. They see who bite. They're not gonna come up to you and say, hey, you like 5-year-olds? They're not gonna do that because you look at them weird, or you might just punch them in the mouth. But they'll put you in situations where if young children are around, they'll move you into it. It may not be a 5-year-old, but it'll start at a 19-year-old at a party. It'll go from a 15-year-old at a party. Then you show up at somebody's private home and residence, and it's like a 9-year-old. And then they keep going to see how far you can go. And I don't want to imagine it, but I know they're going as far as they can go until they get into animals. And I know when it comes to sexual deviancy and it comes to lust, there is no backstop to that until you reach an animal. And that's where, if we talk about the days of Noah, that's exactly where sexual deviancy ends up. It ends up with animals.
The other element, and this is because I used to drink and I used to smoke a little weed. But at some point I came into an awareness like, oh man, if you go look at most of the mistakes I've made in my life, alcohol was involved. And it's like they get you, and this thing about LA, they get you at these parties, get some liquor in you, get some weed that may be laced with something, maybe they spike your drink. And then it's like when Beyoncé says, doesn't that look sexy? Well, your inhibitions are down. Your self-control is down because they got the liquor, the drugs in you. And the next thing you know, you're doing things you wouldn't do sober, and they just happen to have a camera on it and pictures of it. And then they have you for the rest of your life. Right. And that's what I see. I mean, I just, not to go to, but it's just like, I look at the dude, Baby from Cash Money. I'm like, he's kissing all these dudes in the mouth, and he got this prison mentality. I was just like, dude, all these guys, they're not in control. They accept the money, and then they promote the wickedness. It's very, once your scales come off your eyes, it's so easy to see. And I'm glad you connected it to the Bible, because that would be the last thing I would want to bring up. It's like, if you look at the story of Moloch and just how child sacrifice, Leviticus, just go to Leviticus, child sacrifice, it's always been a part of the devil's plan. And again, that's why the Bible will tell you there's nothing new. We keep thinking all this stuff is brand new. No, man, they've had different forms of this since the beginning of time, and we just can't see it. Larry, I'm gonna give you the final thought. I appreciate you making the time. If there's something I haven't asked you or a comment you want to get in, do it now.
No, we touched on a lot, and I'm thankful for you bringing on to the show, and hopefully your listeners would really take this world serious. There's another world that we don't see, but they tell us what they want us to know. But if you do your due diligence, if you really do your searching, search through these people and see who they have been taking oaths to. What doctrines do they follow? And then you can add it up. So it's really no speculating, and there's really no, it's alleged. When you can tie the connection and you could tie the dots together, it's all held together under one doctrine. If you look what that doctrine is and you look what it propagates, it's very easy to say that this person is full of crap, that person is full of crap, because I know who they obey. And they do it through their symbolism. They do it right in front of you. They do it with their hands. They do it with their mouths. It's right in front of you. All you have to do is have the willingness to look and search for it. And it'll keep you sane, and you'll start laughing at these things. Mind you, a 13-year-old getting raped is not a laughable matter. But when you look at what they do to keep this all from you and to keep you blinded by putting it in plain sight, you'll be able to walk away from a lot of these strongholds that are wreaking havoc on your mind and your spirit and your soul and keeping you away from the Creator who created you to see the light instead of the darkness.
Larry, thank you so much. Appreciate the time. I want to get you out here to Nashville and at my home studio so we can have a longer conversation. You're on a fascinating journey. It's why I know God is real, because I knew you back when we were butting heads and you had a whole different mindset, and I did too. I lived at a strip club back then. But to see you go through this journey and process is that's why I know God is real. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Larry Johnson. Thank you guys for watching. We'll play tomorrow. We'll see you next time.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free.